Welcome to the Momentors talk show for leading women. And I am live with Dion Johnson today. And she calls herself the womanologist. Womanologist, is that right? Welcome,
Womanologist.
welcome to the Momentors talk show, Dion. It's really good to have you here today.
It's fantastic to meet you at last.
Thank you. And I've been reading about you and I've been following you. I think we've met at an event in the past, and I was really intrigued by your story. So I just want you to maybe just really introduce yourself to the audience. Who is Dion Johnson?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me here. I'm watching you and loving how you're moving in the world. You're changing lives, and people are learning through you, and I'm celebrating here because I'm excited about what you're up to in the world. So who am I? Dion Johnson, also known as the Womanologist. I'm a mummy to Bianca, a grandmummy to
Wow.
Elsa Grace. I love being a grandma, and by profession, I'm a leadership consultant. I like to say a strategic ally to women in leadership. My clients particularly are women who lead in the C-suite, so CEOs, directors, heads, strategic leads in organizations. I'm really passionate about supporting the evolution of women and their influential voice in the marketplace. I think the marketplace is ready for a shift. Well, it's happening. And I think women are going to be at the forefront of shaping a new normal. I've been saying that for years, and then here comes COVID-19 and just clears the way for us to just really be doing this. So my work is really all about helping women to prepare, to rise above their challenges, to find their voice, to remember what it means to be a leader, remember what it means to be a change maker, and to really grow as an influencer in their domain or their field.
Wow, absolutely amazing. And when I was reading, you call yourself the strategic ally, master coach, and you particularly work with women in leadership. So, what landed you in this position? How did you come about to ending up in this place?
For my whole career, just all through my career, the really strong themes, there's three really strong themes. One is leadership. So I always tend to gravitate towards leadership. The other one is women. I always either be leading women or, working directly with women. So I was a midwife for a long, long time.
Wow.
Delivering babies in all sorts of settings, community midwife. Then I set up a practice that was a specialist practice for a specialist group of women. So midwifery, working alongside women who are carrying things and birthing things into the world is like a constant theme throughout my career. And then personal development and growth, evolution, maturing, growing, elevating, increasing. Like, this is the stuff that's always been littered throughout my career, these three themes. So this is how it's my place in the world. I just know where I belong in the world, and it's alongside women who are growing, stretching, carrying something, and birthing things into the world. That's where I belong.
Absolutely amazing. And if you're joining us on the Momentors talk show for leading women, today I have the woman herself, and she's telling us this is Dion Johnson, and her role is she's strategic woman who works with women in leadership, and she's into helping women to birth things, passions, visions that they have within them. And I like the fact that, you're telling us that you were a midwife before, and now you're a midwife in actual, midwife is somebody who helps somebody to birth a child. But you're midwife now in a different zone.
Absolutely.
And
I see that all the time. I say it all the time that my job when I was working in the labor wards is much the same as my job now. I'm working in the boardroom. It's really about helping women to conceive ideas, insights, value, visions, dreams that are going to be useful in our world, in their organization, in their industry. And I help them to bring that out in their influential leadership.
Wow, absolutely amazing. So in terms of your clientele then, obviously I know you may not be at liberty to share some of those cases with us in terms of, for data protection reasons, but are you able to maybe talk to us about your ideal client and how you would help them to birth that, what you're talking about from inside them?
I've got to tell you that it's like, in 2013, I got a download in prayer that it was time for women to prepare. It was time for women to prepare for a whole new dimension of influence. Mm-hmm. And in 2013, I learned that it was this need for women, this need for women's voice was going to come suddenly. And the word that I received was that we should be preparing, that women should be preparing. And so from 2013, I really set myself to work with just women. Back then I was working with just people who wanted coaching in their careers, but I really focused in 2013 on women. I really felt that in this divine message, I felt that I was being directed to work with women in the C-suite, senior women, but I didn't feel confident around that somehow. I didn't feel like women in senior leadership would say that they want help and support. I felt like they looked like they had it all together. They looked like they had all their ducks in a row. They're very important, well-established, undeniably successful women. I didn't feel like they would be asking for help in the same way that maybe somebody who's trying to get to senior leadership might, or somebody who is struggling to get into the job market, say. So I just said everything. I said I would work with women, mature women. I said managerial women. I called it all kinds of women until I just felt God slapping me on the shoulder saying, I said CEOs and directors. And so that's really, I've just said, okay, like I work with senior leadership, I work with CEOs and directors. And man, as soon as I embraced that call, then that's when it started to really, the doors opened, and I really began to see the reality of what it meant to be women in the C-suite, in the corporate space, women who had heavy responsibility of leadership, and really was in a lot of ways just left out of the support triangle. They were the ones that organized everybody else's needs to be met in the organization. They were the ones thinking about how everybody else was going to be okay. And often there was nobody saying, hey, how are you? How are you doing? So I just feel like I was divinely led to work with women in the C-suite, and it's really a powerful position, very privileged position. I'm just it's my place in the world.
Absolutely beautiful. And I think it's one thing to have a vision, but actually being able to execute it, as you're told, because you're saying that you were a bit unsure initially about how you would actually, whether they would listen to you in the first place.
Like all my coaches said to me, no, don't go there, that's not where the money is. Go here, go, work with young women, young women leaving university, trying to get on the job market, or, your story really lends itself to middle managers, or, everybody had their idea about who I should work with, and I know where I was best suited, but that was the leading, and, and as I follow it, I really see, people say all the time that, we grow our businesses, but I really believe that if we're doing it right, then our businesses grow us.
Exactly.
Our businesses really challenge us to keep stepping up, to keep increasing, to keep, and finding out new things about ourselves, about really stepping into the we that we're becoming. It's really a powerful vehicle for our growth.
So I like that. So you're saying, I really like, how you've put it there to say that, somebody last week I was interviewing was talking about everyone had an opinion about them, but actually they went with their intuition. And you're talking about being led. So you felt inside of you that you're being led to work more so with CEOs, leaders, leading women is what you were being called to do. So again, being able to balance that, opinion versus what you're being led to do. So what was it that you did to go past that block?
I think it's a case of obedience. They're like, there's a scripture that says obedience is better than sacrifice. I've just learned I'm a woman of faith. That's the first thing, is that I'm a woman of faith. So my boss is my God. My God is my boss. So I get led, I get asked all the time in prayer, through my intuition, through my relationship with my God, to do things, to show up in ways that stretch me. And I just learned to trust it. I've just learned that this is the making of me, that my business is a vehicle for my growth as well as my contribution. Wow. And so when hard things come, I get good coaching. I believe in the coaching system. I believe in the power of support, which is a real challenge for women sometimes. And I believe in a network of friends who cheer you on. And I just get on and say yes. It takes me a while sometimes. I have for many years. For some of the instructions, I find myself, the vision that I have is, when they're doing double Dutch skipping. So two people are turning the rope like this, and you want to skip, and you're going like this, and you're watching the rope, and you're doing this. Correct. And you're watching it go, and you're anticipating jumping in. I feel like sometimes I just get stuck in that. I'm getting ready to jump in, but I ain't quite jumping yet. But eventually you could tire yourself out like that. Wow. So eventually you just need to get in and do it. And it's a leap year, so this is a great time for leaping.
Wow, absolutely amazing. I love that. And I'm going to quote, you said, your business will grow you. You're not supposed to be looking to grow your business, but so how do you position yourself? For you give support, and you give advice, and you coach leading women. So if there's any leading women watching on here, what is it that we need to be doing, as CEOs, as directors, as business owners, what sort of tips are you, or what we're supposed to be doing to grow?
The times are really, it's a new day is dawning. We cannot deny this now. A new day is dawning. What we see is, for the last since 2013, I've been saying, look at how structures are being shaken. Look at how our world is in crisis. That there's this shaking, and that's a sign that a new day is dawning. Because when an old system is going to become obsolete, or when an old system is going to pass away, then it must be shaken. It must be dismantled. So we've been talking about this for years, and now, bam!
Wow.
Whatever was standing is just bam, it's just been knocked out of the way. And so with a new day comes new challenges, comes new demands, comes new opportunities, comes new needs. And I believe that it's undeniable now that this is a whole new day. And we as women in leadership, we as leaders, period, people are looking to us to tell them which way we're going, like what's ahead. I think that leadership has been we've kind of got lackadaisical with the true meaning of leadership. I believe that leadership has become sort of glorified management, and management has been a lot about keeping things ticking over, keeping things the same. But true leadership is really about charting the course. It's about communicating the vision. It's about deciding where we're going. It's about deciding what we're heading towards, what we're going to be accomplishing, and decreeing that and declaring it and making it clear to our people what is okay and what's not, what we're going for and what's old, what we're leaving behind and what we're bringing with us. This is the time for true leadership. This is the time for us to really be be tapping into whatever it is our sources, whatever it is that is our navigating system, be tapping into that to receive inspiration about what's required in this new season ahead, and then communicating that really effectively and influentially to the people that are following us, eagerly following us.
Wow.
And the other thing that I say is that, you know, everybody, no matter which sector we work in right now, no matter if you're private sector, in your banking, in, you know, in the judicial system, whatever it is that you're working, everyone is public servants now. Everybody is working in the public sector, because people have unprecedented needs after this crisis, this global crisis.
Wow.
All leaders need to be thinking about their people in a way that perhaps they haven't before. Mm-hmm. COVID-19 really showed us, didn't it, how connected we are, that there is, like, you can't just be thinking about people over there and me over here, because if something's going on with people over there now, we Correct. Are very clear that that's our problem too. You know, wow. we can't be separating ourselves anymore. We can't be sort of all right in our ivory towers while people over there are dealing with this, because whatever they're dealing with, COVID-19 lets us understand that whatever we're dealing with, whatever they're dealing with over there, it's only a matter of, it's a minute before it lands on our laps.
Wow, absolutely mind-blowing. And I've got somebody here joining us, Fatima Khan. She's saying you're really motivating. You know, your talk is really motivating. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you. Welcome, Fatima. I really believe this. You know, I'm excited. I've been quiet. I've been just really closing my eyes, keeping myself still, and just really listening to what is being taught to us in this season. And I really believe that the interconnectedness of us is really loud. And I believe that COVID-19 has always also shown us about this gross inequality. And, you know, that there is such inequality and we cannot deny it anymore. It's really ironic, I think, that as we're thinking about emerging out of COVID-19 lockdown, I called it cocooning, and we started to come out of our cocoon, here comes George Floyd's murder. Here comes Amy Cooper. And I think that, you know, it really was a rude awakening, wasn't it? When we were all kind of singing Kumbaya and realizing how connected we are, and then we get punched in the face with the issues of our day that we must address, with these colossal predicaments of our time. Racism, sexism, genderism, inequality is the predicament of our season, and I think there's just no denying that we can ignore it no more.
Absolutely mind-blowing. And as you're talking, goosebumps are going all over me, you know, absolutely mind-blowing. Thank you so much for sharing that. And also, you know, somebody's asking, how do you know that you are a leader? Because you talked about leadership versus management, you know, being a good manager or being a seasoned manager versus leadership. How do you know that you're called to leadership?
Yeah, I think we're all called to leadership, even if we're only leading ourselves. I think it's a really powerful point that we have to begin to embrace the fact that we are called to lead. Oftentimes, people's potential is stemmed because they think, I'm not a leader in the corporation, so I'm not a leader. And what they fail to do when they call themselves not a leader is lead themselves. Wow. So you have people that are just going with the flow in their life. They are not charting the course. They don't hold a vision. They aren't setting goals. They're not intentional about leading. And therefore their life is just following, going with the flow. Any wind will come and blow them this way and that way. They're reacting to life rather than charting the course and leading. So we're all leaders. But some of us are called to lead in other capacities. You know, just one of the things that's changing in my business is that I've been working with just leaders in the corporate space, but I've been feeling the need to work with women who lead in the home too, because we are leaders in our home. We are leaders in our home, and oftentimes we underestimate that. I have women tell me all the time, I'm just a housewife, or I'm just a mum. but I think that with these big giant problems that we have, inequality and all that goes with inequality, we really need people who recognize themselves as leaders in the home. Recognize that whatever's going on in the home is spilling out into our community and spilling out into our corporations. So we as women, I believe we really must embrace, if we are the head of the home, if we lead with a man or with our partner and we are heads in the home, that we have to really acknowledge that and develop ourselves as leaders for that domain. It's a powerful one.
Wow.
So, you know, the things that you might just be positioned as a leader, or you might just need to recognize that you're a leader because you're not positioned. I meet people all the time who are not entitled leader, but they have knock-on effects on people of their department, of their realm. Wow. You know, we need to see ourselves as leaders of our realm. I tell they're not my clients now, but people, if I have conversations with people who aren't leaders, wow, I say, be a leader in your team. Wow. Consider your team. Think about the direction of it. Communicate where you think the team needs to go, what you see the problems being. But we need to be developing as leaders wherever we are. Leadership happens at all levels. We're all called to be leaders. Yeah.
Wow, correct. I love that. I love that explanation. So if you're watching, you know, what Dion is sharing here is that every one of us, you know, is called to lead in our respective, you know, levels and areas. And, you know, of course, some people are called to lead at higher levels, but we are all leaders. If you're a woman, you're leading in your own home. And, you know, what sort of support, you know, would you say somebody, you know, who's a potential client for you needs? You know, for example, if you had a client, for example, that you're working with, what sort of support would you offer them? Is this one-to-one coaching? You know, what sort of support would you offer them?
So, hey, COVID-19's just hit, and I'm still working all of this out because pre-COVID, I'm one of those high-touch coaches. High touch. So, you know, I love to be in the room with my client. I like to be up close and personal. I'm a kind of in your face kind of leader. Mm-hmm. So I really like this close connection. I don't know what's going to happen with that post COVID, but I'm learning how to create connection online. I'm just learning that. Yeah. But all the time, no matter how you work with me, whether you read my book that's coming out or whether we're working together in an official coaching capacity, it will always be like majoring on connection. It will always be majoring on allyship. So I partner with my clients. I consider myself their partner, and we are looking at, I create space where women with high responsibility can let go of the masks that we wear to face these places. Let go of, you know, all of the bravery and the, you know, the stiff upper lip, and let go of that and come to a safe place where they can kick their shoes off, take their masks off, take off their crown, and think about what's happening with them. I believe that if you support the leader, then leadership takes care of itself. That if you build up the woman behind the title, then leadership, it by default, leadership and influence goes through the roof by default. And so any woman that works with me, no matter how, whether she reads my book or she comes to work with me personally, we will be creating a space between us where anything goes. Like, you know, I love my clients. I love my clients, and I believe in the call on their life to change their industry. I believe in the call on their life to make their difference. I believe in the call on their life to oversee their domain. Mm-hmm. And so that's never up for question when women come to work with me, no matter what they're going through. And oftentimes in senior leadership, the pressure is real and the pain is real. Professional pain is real. And people are going through all kinds of stuff, shall we say. Yes. All kinds of stuff in leadership. And what I found is that stuff is the fuel for growth.
Mm-hmm.
But often we need to be supported to
Right.
be able to interpret it as that.
Right.
And without support, women interpret the pressure or the predicaments or the isms and schisms that they're going through in leadership. They often interpret it as, I'm not good enough,
Mm-hmm.
or you know, I'm not the woman for the job, or I'm gonna fight this one, I'm gonna show him, I'm gonna prove myself. And that's all very energetically expensive. It's distracting. It takes us away from the real job that we're really there to do.
Yeah.
And so, and yet we've been shouldering that. And so things like migraines, insomnia, fibromyalgia, adrenal fatigue, you know, MS, all kinds. Women are struggling with all kinds of ailments because they're going through what they're going through.
Wow.
And they're going through it alone. And so, so what we have is a potential for what they're going through to be either the making of them or the breaking of them. And support is the key.
It's the key.
Support is the key for making it the making of you rather than the breaking of you. Support is the key. And the support of women going through painful processes is my thing. It's my place in the world. It's where I belong. It's my superpower.
Wow, I love it. And I can tell, you know, you're talking from a passionate point of view and, you know, from a passionate position. And that's so important because I can see it's just oozing out of you. You know, it's natural. It's just coming out of there. And you really want those babies out, don't you?
Yeah. I don't think we've got any choice. I don't think we've got any choice. Listen, the world is upside down. And if the promise that I've received through prayer is right, then this is a season where we have an opportunity to turn the world right side up.
Right.
And I believe that it rises and falls on leadership. I think that we have this opportunity and we can't just keep going the way that we've been going. It's very masculine in nature. Our leadership paradigms are very masculine in nature. And I'm not here to bash masculine. I'm saying that there needs to be a balance. There needs to be a balance between the masculine and the feminine. Women need to master that feminine so that we can bring it to leadership. It hasn't been welcomed very widely up until now, but I feel like COVID-19 has cleared the way for the feminine aspects of leadership to join with the masculine and make hugely different outcomes. And I'm really excited about that.
So would you say that then, you know, because part of the theme of this show is leading women, adversity breeds success. Would you say that COVID-19 has actually come as a way of paving way for a work such as what you're doing? For, you know, what is your opinion when it comes to that in terms of COVID-19 and moving forward?
Yeah, you know that I don't want to be insensitive to those people who are really, really struggling with COVID-19. Like, it has been harrowing. I lost my dad after an incredible battle with a fierce illness. It was fierce. And my family and I couldn't be together. We had the funeral under such strange circumstances. You know, we buried him in his pajamas, which for my dad is, he was a dapper dude. He was a dapper dude. So this has been devastating on so many levels. And I want to say that, I want to give that point loud, clear time. I want us to acknowledge that it's been a moment. But on the other hand, despite that, I can't help but see the opportunity that it is presenting to us. It's like it's cleared the stage, it's cleared the way, and it's inviting us to say, what do you want to do now? What do you want to do now? And I think that it's calling for us to, there's this opportunity to deal with some of the biggest problems that we've not been able to handle before, because the way that we've been doing things have been creating problems, now we have a chance to really rewind and rise up and think differently about what we're creating now. And so I believe that COVID-19 has been answer to prayer for many. I believe it's been I believe it's a response to the cries of too many people who are being failed by marketplace systems.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I love that illustration, and on the back end of it, it is a challenging time for a lot of people, but we're seeing that also in all that badness, something good is coming out of it, and I think I can't agree with you anymore than what you just said there. So just going back again, then talking about your book. So I see that you've written a book, The Influencer. Let's hear it from yourself, Dion. What is the book about?
Gordon Bennett, let me tell you, writing the book was traumatic for me. I honestly thought I've been leading for a long time. I know women and leadership, as we spoke about earlier on. I thought I was going to just bang out this quick little book, a little generic leadership book that would kind of act like the mentors told me that it would be like a business card, So you write this book and you'd be able to say, hi, I got this book, and then it would open doors for you. And so I just thought, how difficult could this be, So I set about writing this book, and then it wasn't easy. And then I couldn't just blur out a quick little book. And then it started to challenge me to really think about what was the message that needed to come through in this book. And I felt completely out of my depth, because it was unexpected to find inequality as a core theme in the book. I thought it was going to be about women and leadership, which is something I know a lot about. So I just couldn't believe that inequality was vying for up front and center positioning in the book. And I felt hugely unqualified to write it. I'm not a social scientist. I'm not an academic. I really felt like, why is this coming up? But it really was. And so, in the wrestling with the content, what the book has ended up being about is this powerful giant predicament that we all have across the global marketplace, no matter which industry we work in, that inequality is no longer acceptable. And yet the marketplace is a proponent of inequality. The marketplace produces inequality outcomes, unequal outcomes. The marketplace perpetuates inequality. And so leaders are being called to change the systems that create such unfair outcomes. And so in the book, what evolved was that the systems, the marketplace systems that create these unequal outcomes are like a king.
Wow.
So the system is like a king, and what the king says goes. What the king decrees is law. What the king likes is on vogue, and what the king doesn't like is kicked to the curb. This king is a very powerful king, and at the moment, the results under this king are broken. The results under this king are unfair, unequal. They're racist. They're just unfair. And so the revelation that came to me as I was writing the book is that the king needs a queen.
Wow.
And those queens are women like us, CEOs, directors, women who are brilliant leaders, but now they are being called to ascend to a whole new dimension of influence, where they get to influence the system, the king, the regal system that is producing these outcomes. So it requires, it's a book that presents 7 habits that help women, if they choose to cultivate these habits, to become more influential, more feminine and more influential in a way that will help the system to be revised.
Oh, absolutely mind-blowing. And I'm just listening very attentively and digesting everything you're saying. And, I can certainly hear that, from where you're coming from. So this book then, actually ended up sort of, do you think that it changed along the way from where you were standing, wanting to write about women in leadership, but it came out as a different book altogether?
Yeah, just totally different. You know, I'm still nervous about what the response to it will be, but it was just not the book. It was just a real process. It was a real birthing process for me. I think that the book was, it squashed, it was pressureful for me. It was pressure to write it. But, you know, the vision that really kept coming back to me that I share in the book is that we as women in senior leadership are under immense pressure. We're under immense pressure. But, you know, I realized when I was writing the book that I've seen that pressure before. Mm-hmm. And I've seen it in the labor room where this baby is surrounded by big, strong muscles that squeeze and press it. But, you know, that baby is on a journey. That baby is being moved into a whole new dimension of existence, a whole new realm of possibility. And that's what I think the book is really helping women to reframe the pressure that we're under, and helping us to learn how to use that pressure as the vehicle that moves us into a higher level of influence so that we can influence the king. Yeah.
So that book as well, from what you're saying, is almost like a process of that labor where, you know, we're surrounded by these pressures and wanting to come out. So it's actually a vehicle to usher us out into our purpose, into our
Yeah, definitely. So I say what I've realized since writing the book is that you know, if we are going to ascend to these new levels of leadership, then women really, really need to heal. Mm-hmm. We must heal. Mm-hmm. We really must heal. We've got so much history. We've got so much that has happened to us. Yeah. You know, and we've got our own unique story, but there's a her story too. It's just one of oppression, one of second-class citizenship, one of suppression and adversity and real fight. And we've sustained some wounds that really do present themselves in the marketplace, in leadership. And we must begin to heal those. And alongside the process of healing, we really must handle, I call it handling our hindrances. This means that we must get our mindset right. We must start to think different, higher quality thinking. We must handle those thoughts and those behaviors and those beliefs that really block our growth, block our ascension, block our evolution. And so healing and handling our hindrances is what the book is calling women to. And the way that I suggest we heal and we handle our hindrances is through developing these 7 habits.
Wow.
So that's what it's about. Yeah.
Wow. And just really exploring more into these 7 habits. And I really want to be able to share with the viewers where they can start to. So do you have a pre-order release? You know, what's happening along those lines?
So COVID's put it back a little bit. So it's been pushed back a bit. So instead of September, we're coming out in November. But, you know, still in time for Christmas. So what I suggest is people just go to my website, www.thewomanologist.com, or my LinkedIn profile. In fact, LinkedIn is probably the best place to catch me. You can, you know, and once you're there, you'll get news about the book release and the tours that we'll be doing and the launch and so on.
Monologist. So I'll be writing those details for you guys at the bottom so that you are able to connect with Dion Johnson on LinkedIn. You know, this is a woman to reckon with, and I am so inspired by the work that you're doing with women in leadership, and, you know, the analogies that you're giving. I can certainly identify, you know, and you talked about masks, and I think I want to go back to that question about women wearing masks in their places of leadership. Can we explore that a bit and talk about some of those examples?
So I was born with a facial disfigurement. Mm-hmm. And so all of my childhood, I spent a lot of time in and out of hospital having corrective surgery. My lip my face didn't develop conventionally in the womb. And so when I was born, and for years, even into my early adulthood, I was still having corrective surgery on my face. And when I was 4 years old, I was gifted an artificial eye and some dark glasses. So this artificial eye was a plastic shell that was painted to look like this eye, and it would sit on top of my disfigured eye to kind of look the same. And I was also given dark glasses, so like sunglasses. I didn't really need glasses to read, but I was given sunglasses that I'd wear on top of the artificial eye. And the whole point of those gifts were to help me look more normal. They were to help me to blend in, help me to look like you. You know, they were about hiding my facial flaws. And so that's how I lived my life. I call that the beginning of my life behind the mask.
Wow.
Because that's how I rolled, you know, that's how I did life. Not many people saw what I looked like behind my artificial eye and my dark glasses. Like they were, you know, like really very, very few people saw me from that day, 4 years old, with my real face. And so that's how I kind of that's how I carried on with school, went into, you know, went to my training, you know, just all through higher education, right the way through into the workplace, and right the way through my leadership, I went with my masks on.
Wow. Wow.
And then in 2009, I had a really pivotal year, and a real shake year. Like this is like a shake year for a lot of people. 2009 was my pivotal year, and you know, and long story short, I found myself on my knees with my hands up in the air, just wondering why life was feeling so damn painful. And then I had this conversation with God, and you know, some questions started occurring to me that I just took my breath away. So these questions were things like, so Dion, you know, why'd you hide yourself? You know, when are you going to let people see the real you? Why when are you going to show up for real? When are you going to show up for real? When are you going to let people know who you really are? When are you going to let people see you, Dion? And, you know, those questions were so powerful. I'd never asked myself those questions before. I felt like I was wrestling with God. Like, what do you mean? Why? Why would you be asking me that? Because to me, it felt like obvious why I would need to wear my artificial eye and my dark glasses. Like they help me to blend in. They help me to look normal. They help me to be acceptable. They help me to be palatable in the world. And I just couldn't understand why these questions were coming about why I'm hiding. And I was speaking out loud because that's just how I roll with God. You know, I was saying, you know, look at me. How can I show up like with this face? You know, how can I let people, it would be cruel to let people be looking at this face. Like, you know, people don't want to be put off their food, you know, like people don't want to be made to feel bad because they have to look at this. And as I was saying these words out loud, another part of me, you know, I kind of got an attitude about what I was saying. It didn't sound right. It didn't sound right. I was saying to myself that the real me, I was talking about my face at that time, was somehow just not, was it would be cruel to subject the real me to the world, you know? And this was coming out of my mouth, and I knew something was not right about this. So whilst I was on the floor with my hands up in the air, I thought, no, you know, this doesn't sound right to me. I'm going to have to find a way to show up for real. And, you know, back then I was really talking about the artificial eye and the dark glasses, letting people see my face. But, you know, that was like 11 years ago now. Like, wow, when I say that, I can't believe it. It was like 11 years ago now. And what happened after I got up from that, making that decision, was that I set about not wearing the artificial eye and the dark glasses in public, and standing and allowing people to see this face.
Wow.
And showing up with this face. And it took me a while to get into the swing of it, but I've never put that artificial eye and dark glasses back on again.
Wow.
And it's become more than just about my eye and my face. It's become a journey of finding out who I am for real on a multitude of levels, who I am for real, and how I can bring her for real, unmasked, uncovered, to my world, to my domain, to my space.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been an incredible journey. And I've learned so much about myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned so much about women and why we wear masks. You see, after a couple of years of learning how to show up for real myself,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm still on that journey. I'm not there altogether by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm on my journey.
Yeah.
And I started to share the stories. I started to get letters and mail and social media DMs and all kinds of communication from women literally around the world who
Wow.
tell me, your story had me in tears. Your story touched me. Your story spoke to me. I know what it is to be hiding. I know what it is to be playing small. I know what it is to be holding back, covering myself up, camouflaging myself, not showing up, not speaking up, not showing the world who I really am, not hiding my deepest, truest thoughts. Women were identifying with my story, and I thought, wow, I didn't realize it was such a painful process to go through. To this unveiling of my face led to the unveiling of me, and it still is sometimes a really painful process, having to face me behind here, having to know me, having to reconnect, grieving the years that I neglected aspects of my being. All of this was part of the process. I didn't realize it was training for the work that I would be doing with my clients. I didn't realize it would be training that would impact the lives of beautiful women, stunning women. No, nothing like this facial issue. But they understood and recognized this whole issue of masking in a variety of ways. So I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about masking over the years. I think about masking as the thought processes, the beliefs, the thinking that compels women or people to hide. So, we think that there's something wrong with the aspect of ourselves. They won't like it, or I don't like this aspect of myself. I hate this about me. These are thoughts that you might have it. I had it about my face, but what I learned was that it was about me in general. Like, as I felt about my face, I felt about my identity. As I felt about, I hear women say all kinds of things that their experience has taught them about who they are. They're not good enough. They're not pretty enough. They're not black enough. They're not white enough. They're not big enough. They're not rich enough. They're not poor enough. They're not sexy enough. They're not sensual enough. They're not motherly enough. They're not any of them. There's all of these things that we say about ourselves.
Yeah.
And to survive the trauma of that identity crisis, we kind of shove those thoughts and feelings away, and we cover it up, and we put on our work heads, or we put on our, I have women who describe that they're showing up like this over here, and they're showing up like that over there, and they're showing up like this. They put on whatever mask they need for the situation, and all the time this woman behind the mask is just trying to survive, trying to make it work, trying to make ends meet, trying to climb, trying to impress people, trying to manage how people see you, it's exhausting, energetically expensive. It's no wonder we burn out. It's no wonder we get sick. It's no wonder we can't sleep. It's no wonder we can't have babies.
Wow.
It's no wonder we can't keep marriages. It's no wonder.
Wow.
So I find that when I meet with the woman behind the mask, we clean up behind all of that, and then she's ready to influence in her professional space. We're working behind here. We deal, what brought her to me was the professional pain, but ultimately it's all enmeshed with identity. How I see myself, or how I want people to see me, because I don't feel like this about this.
Wow.
So this is the work.
And it's absolutely empowering. It's really empowering, and I think you've touched on a lot of things, and really sharing your story from, having gone through this journey of facial disfigurement to having to unveil almost and mask yourself, and in that process, you have totally transformed yourself to being that woman who's now helping business leaders, women who are in CEO positions, to actually unmask, a lot of stuff that you said here, is undoubtedly true. And I can recognize some of those things where, women are having to put up a face to show up here. Some people have talked about, even wearing blonde wigs to turn up to the boardroom because they thought that was going to get them business. So it's almost like they're fighting to identify, because again, you're talking about those inequalities that are happening in those higher places. So, it's a lot of work.
What you said about, transforming myself, I see it. I've learned that there is such power in taking away those layers and standing in your true identity here. That's a process in and of itself. Learning how to uncover ourselves is such a process. But what I found on my unmasking journey is that when I focus on being the true me in this conversation, in this place where I'm standing right now, in whatever it is that I'm doing, just being the true me here, I find that the transformation is happening. I don't have to try and transform myself. Right. I don't have to try and make myself anything.
Right.
That what happens is that as I focus on bringing my truest self to whatever it is that I'm doing, I find it's like your life then gets on wheels. It's like things just start moving without your effort. Like doors start to open. Situations present themselves. And it's really all about being here as you, being her that you want to be, that you are now. Just being here in this place, and then doors open, miraculous things happen, and situations, opportunities present themselves. And this is such an important point, because what I found is in the masking mentality, where you want to try and show people that you're something that you don't think you are, like this drive to impress people or to fit in with people, like to get there, that's when we burn out. Mm-hmm. That's when we lose connection with our truest self. Wow. That's when we get encumbered about with many things. And I'm finding that we have to unlearn that striving to prove ourselves and get there and show people who we are. Like, all we need to do is be here, mm-hmm. in that role, in that home, in that relationship, in that situation, and speak your truth. Mm-hmm. Be your true self. And it automatically creates the path for your growth. It automatically does. So you might be in a situation where you're in the boardroom and someone is you see that the policy that you're discussing is riddled with inequality. Mm-hmm. Well, most people, what they do to fit in and mask is they swallow down what they really think, and they nod and speak and move like the group moves. They mimic what's happening in the culture. But as we decide that I'm no longer open to hiding my true self, and you begin to influentially open your mouth and present your truth, something's going to happen in response to you. You'll attract opposition, you will attract opportunity, you'll gain confidence in what you do. Something's going to happen. Sometimes it feels like it's good, and sometimes what happens feels like it's bad, but it doesn't matter, because something's going to happen, and that's something, if you're supported, then you can make whatever happens into stepping stones for your deliverance, for your growth, for your increase, for your ascension. Like, what showing up as you is a rebellious act today. And as you learn how to do it, as you learn to take this off and speak your truth and show up and express your needs and say what is and say what isn't, and really be seen, be heard, it's going to create some stuff.
Wow.
It's going to make something happen.
Wow.
And you can't stay the same. Now wow. you begin to learn, you begin to grow, you begin to move without any effort.
Wow. Effortless.
Yes, powerful.
Effortless. Yeah. I love it. I love it. And, you know, guys, if you're watching Dion Johnson, and if you want to connect with Dion Johnson, she's a powerful coach for CEOs. I don't know what to say anymore now. She's that midwife, life midwife. You know, if you're that person, you're a leading woman and you want somebody to speak into your life to help you. And she's talking about unmasking, you know, yourself, showing up as the true you, showing up as that imperfect you, not having to pretend to be something that you're not, because actually in showing up as who you are, you know, things start to evolve, you start to develop and grow into the person that you're called to be. Yes. So it's absolutely powerful. I hope I got that right.
You did. That's perfect.
Absolutely amazing. So can I ask you then, you've obviously worked with a lot of women. Can you give us an example of someone you've worked with, the work you've done, you know, something you can think of from the top of your voice, where they were when you started and the results?
Right. So, you know, I work with some incredible women, and, you know, so a typical client will be somebody who is a driven to succeed woman, a woman who, you know, is undeniably smart. She's driven to succeed professionally. So my clients have, you know, really they're CEOs, they're COOs, they're directors, they're women who lead at a high level, and they come because something's not working. So oftentimes it will be a particular conflict. They're not getting on with their boss, or they're having a crisis of confidence. So you know, the company's going through something, and it's really a lot of pressure, and they're feeling the weight of that pressure, and they're starting to question whether they're right for the job. Or sometimes people come because they've hit a place in their life where they were just not sure what, like, they don't know which way's up anymore. Something's happened. Maybe they've recovering from an illness, or, you know, the kids have left home, or something's happened, and they're just thinking, work doesn't do it for me like it used to. Something's not quite right. I don't feel motivated, or I don't feel like I've got a spark for this anymore, and I don't know what to do. So different quandaries come, you know, women come with their different stories, their different quandaries. When women come and we sit down, you know, I tell you, it's like almost invariably, I would say, that very quickly into the first few hours of us working together deeply, we discover that there is a story going on, that these women are somehow have forgotten how to live fully. they've forgotten how to be free and express themselves and speak their truth. They are very in their heads, very afraid of something, and and carrying that over time, and thinking it's normal, just trying to do life and ignoring what's going on for them on the inside. And realizing, so almost invariably people say a few things to me, like, something's got to give.
Yeah.
Something's got, like, I'm not going to make it if something doesn't ease up, and some, yeah. Or they say, I've not told a soul this for 7 years. Or
Wow.
they say, I just don't know what I want, but I know this is not it.
Right.
So this is, and so our work is really all about untangling that.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, if you're in that state of mind, that state of heart, that state of humanity, then your influence is definitely affected.
Right. Definitely.
Your capacity to think straight, lead straight, influence straight is definitely affected if you're in that space. And, oftentimes it just compounds broken professional relationships. So things don't work out because woman in her disempowered state, working, leading people who are in their disempowered state, it's just recipe for what we see now. People unhappy at work, isms, schisms, fights, squabbles, people leaving, budgets not being met, targets not being met. You see, it has a knock-on effect on business. Right. So our work is really untangling that. I ask my clients for a commitment that we're going to use this as a growth experience. We're going to use whatever it is that she's going through to learn about who she has been being, to co-create this situation. Who she has been being. And lots of people really struggle with that because they're saying, but it's him, or it's that, or it's the workload, or it's the system, or it's this, or it's that. But our work, we just agree that our work is going to be about how she learns about who she's been being. That's when we discover the masks. That's when we discover the identity crisis. That's when we discover the self-talk, the abuse, the self-abuse. That's when we discover the neglect. Because we always focus on who it is that you're being to create this thing.
Wow.
And that's when we see the magic. Now, you see, when you start to see that, you can begin to heal. You can begin to handle your hindrances. And you can begin to develop the kind of habits that elevate you as a leader rather than break you down.
Wow, I love it. I love it. And, I was taking notes there. Growth, working with Dion will help you to discover your growth. And she's talking about, being able to develop, being able to find out what it is that is behind that, what's stopping you from moving forward. So it's almost like a self-discovery journey as well, isn't it, for some of these leaders, because they're not in their right place.
Yeah, it's a self-discovery experience. I think sometimes I heard someone say that life is not just a journey, it's a process. And when I was hearing him say that yesterday, I thought, you know what, life and leadership is an experience. And, we get to experience it. And in the experience, this conversation, that meeting, this problem, that goal, there are experiences that really do support us, our growth. They really do support our becoming the kind of woman and the leader and the change maker that can change our world. So that's how I like to see it.
Absolutely amazing. And thank you so much. If you've been watching the Momentors Talk Show for Leading Women, I've been talking to the lovely Dion, influential Dion Johnson. And, do not forget to get a copy of The Influence. And I think I would love my signed copy of Yes, of the influencer on behalf of the Moment Talk Show. So, guys, I've heard everything to do with women in leadership today. She's really talking to us about the work she does from having been born with facial disfigurement and having to learn to unmask herself to the world, and actually to where she has been able to transform to the woman who she is now. And she now helps women see, or women in leadership, to unmask themselves to be able to be those women that they need to be in this world. So, Dion, thank you so much. Any last words for the viewers today?
I think there's this new day, new demands, but also massive new opportunity. So I'm encouraging you to step up into them, seize what this moment has come to bring. This is our moment, women of influence.
Absolutely amazing and beautiful words there from Dion Johnson. As she says, you know, it's a new era, it's a new time, it's a new world for us women in leadership to rise up. And for myself on the Momentous Talk Show for Leading Women, thank you, Dion Johnson, for coming on board. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.